Bestow Productions presents Creative Continuity at Baltimore Comic Con 2014. Get the latest news directly from comic book artists and writers. Tune in for Creative Continuity's coverage of Baltimore Comic Con. We bring the convention to you.
We're here with Eric Powell.
When I was a kid, I was always drawing and writing little stories to go along with, whatever I was doing at the time. And I kind of rediscovered comics in my teens and thought, well, like, this is a perfect thing. I'm already kind of doing this, So I kind of got my heart set on drawing comics and writing comics through that. And it's been kind of a snowball effect ever since, just kind of like rolling downhill and gaining momentum.
So when did you get an opportunity to start doing things like the Goon and Big Trouble in Little China?
I had been trying to get some work for hire jobs. I had gotten a few. Had been doing some inking work, and that stuff started to kind of dry up. And I felt like I hadn't really been given a chance to show off what I could do. So I thought, well, I'm going to do my own book. I'm going to take out a small loan and put it out there. And if this doesn't work, then I'll go do something else for a living. But I want to give it this one last shot. And luckily for me, as soon as I started putting it out, it started getting a lot of buzz on the internet.
Wow.
And it just kind of grew from there. And I've been lucky enough to be doing it for the past 15 years or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what inspired the character? What made you?
I just kind of threw everything into the book that I wanted to do, that I like to draw, and I really like to draw big ugly guys. So that's where it kind of come from. Just a big ugly guy that punches stuff. So that's it.
Exciting.
There's not much intellectual thought put into that character at the time. It's just like, I like the 1930s kind of era, and I like drawing big ugly dudes and fights and stuff. So it's kind of just came from that.
So what's it like to wear the multiple hats creating the Goon? Not just writing, but drawing. How does that whole process come about?
For me, it's kind of hard to separate the two. Just because that's the way I've always worked on the Goon. I see the story kind of visually in my head before I put it down on paper, so the two really go hand in hand. As it's a little bit harder for me to do something that's like Big Trouble in Little China, where I'm just writing it. I have to go a little bit further with explaining the panels and laying out the pages and stuff, because keeping in mind that the artist is not seeing what I'm seeing in my head when I'm putting it down on paper. So it's a little bit trickier for me to do that than draw it myself, but they're both fun. When writing the Goon, it's really kind of a shorthand script. It's because I don't need necessarily highly detailed panel breakdowns or anything like that, because I know what I'm putting down on the paper. So it's really mostly just dialogue and just brief page descriptions, just to keep keep track of what I'm doing in the story.
You had a Kickstarter out trying to start a live-action movie, correct?
We're sending Goon to Hollywood, and we'd like to keep his clothes on.
The book was optioned by David Fincher and Blur Studios about 7 years ago now. And since then, we've been working on stuff. They've been doing test animation, and I wrote a script. And we've been trying to sell it ever since then. And we showed off some footage at San Diego Comic Con, and fans kind of went nuts for it. But there wasn't a whole lot of momentum from the studios. When we'd show them the test stuff, they all had a great reaction to it and thought it looked great. But they didn't know what to compare it to. And in Hollywood, that's a bad thing, because they only want to make things that they can compare to something else that made money. And the Goon is kind of an original thing here, so the only thing that they've been comparing it to is Beowulf, and that didn't do so well.
No.
But if you look at the book, it has absolutely nothing to do with
Not at all.
Beowulf.
Not at all.
You couldn't get further in content from the Goon than Beowulf.
Don't be pointing that crooked eye at me, Carl. I'll knock it straight for you.
Here, eyeball this thing for me a second, will you, Frankie?
The fans that saw the test footage we had done, they've been clamoring for this ever since then, and there was a lot of talk about why don't you do crowdsourcing, why don't you kickstart it, and it wasn't really feasible for us to, get the entire budget through Kickstarter, but we thought, why don't we kickstart something that we can get done, like an animatic of the whole film. That way we can show the studios what the whole movie would be like, and we can also at the same time show that there is interest in this as a film.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really successful. We raised almost $500,000.
Wow.
To do this animatic, and we just now did the first full edit of that, and we're tweaking it, and as soon as we get that done, we're going through the whole pitch process again, trying to get a studio on board. But if we don't, we're going to try to get independent backing. We're going to do anything we can to get the movie made. Blur, I think, has on their website has a link to the Kickstarter campaign, and that has updates and stuff on it. Or Blur storyboards the whole film, and then they take that storyboard and kind of like cut it up and crudely animate it. It's really just an animated storyboard.
Now I'm gonna learn you boys a thing or two about internal bleeding.
Your work with Big Trouble in Little China, how did that come about?
Yeah, Boom approached me. They said I was, one of the guys that was at the top of their list, and they asked what I thought about doing it, and I was like, yeah, I think I could write Jack Burton.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that, kind of wise ass attitude that I could write, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been great. John Carpenter is the story consultant on the book, and I work with him on it, and he's been great to work with. He's been very responsive, and it's been an overall good experience.
Now, will we ever see a reboot of that movie, do you think?
I don't know.
I mean, Kurt Russell probably had to get someone else.
Yeah. I said he wanted to do older Jack Burton, which could also be cool.
Which would also, really be cool.
I'm just working on more Goon stuff right now. We've got the Goon Occasion of Revenge miniseries. The second issue just came out, so look out for that too.
This is Harold Gant signing off with Eric Powell. Eric, thanks for the interview.
We interrupt our scheduled programming for this report from Harold Gant at RetroCon.
Gerrianne Raphael. So what got you started into voice acting?
Well, first of all, voice acting is the same as acting. It's not really a separation at all.
Okay.
And I did a lot of plays in New York on Broadway, and then started doing commercials, and then started doing a lot of radio stuff, and then right into animation.
Now, you've done the voice of Chilla for Thundercats.
Yeah.
Now, what was the inspiration behind that voice? How did you create that
Chilla
voice?
breathes blue breath, and it's very hard to do a line and go, and then you get absolutely without any breath.
Right.
So it was much easier for me to make believe I was blowing blue breath and go, and then I had a lot of breath in me and I could talk and do Chilla that way.
Smart. Is there a drastic change between doing Pumyra and Chilla?
Oh yeah, well Pumyra is noble and she, a good person. She was a good Thundercat.
Okay, which one did you enjoy playing more?
Pumyra was certainly easier on my voice.
Right.
But Chilla was a challenge and it was fun to do that.
Okay. Now, did you have a tough time switching characters?
No, I mean, I do a lot of different voices. I do a lot of children's voices, too.
Oh, okay.
I do a lot of little boys. A tiny step forward in man's quest for flavor. I did another cartoon called The Little Curious.
A Little Curious, okay.
And I play the character of Pad and Pencil. So, and and that's still running now. So that's,
Oh, wow.
that's you know, kind of nice. It's on every
So
day.
do you remember everything from like when you watch the episode? Does it take you back? Do you remember?
No, I go, oh, I don't remember doing that, or you know, whatever. Or I say, oh yes, I remember that. That was, you know. But when you do 2 or 3 years of a show, it's very hard to remember each episode.
What's your favorite project to work on?
I love doing Thundercats.
Love doing Thundercats.
I really did.
Oh, okay.
It was the most wonderful group of people, and we just had such a good time.
Okay.
We had so much fun doing it, you know, and so it was a great experience.
All right, it's Harold Gant signing off with Gerrianne Raphael.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey,
No, thanks. This place wasn't such a hole before the zombie plague.
oh, crack a few heads.
Little extortion.
Done by 6 o'clock and a man could go bowling.
Yeah.
Get on Blur, blur.com,
I think so. Blur or blurstudios.com.
blurstudio.com. Look up the Kickstarter for the Goon. We need this movie made.